Henry James, one of the most celebrated American writers of all time, is best known for his psychologically complex novels and masterful ability to portray the workings of the human mind. His stories are famous for their unreliable narrators and ambiguous endings, leaving readers to question the very nature of reality itself. But did you know that one of America's greatest writers also penned one of the scariest ghost stories ever told? And it's not what you think. Join us today as we count down the top 5 most terrifying moments in The Turn of the Screw, Henry James' chilling tale of love, loss, and haunting. As we peel back the layers of this enigmatic story, you'll discover why it continues to terrify readers more than 100 years after it was first published. So if you dare, settle in and prepare yourself for a journey into the dark side of literature. You won't be able to look at doorknobs or empty beds the same way again. No. 5. A Mysterious Manor. The story begins with our young protagonist, Peter Quint, arriving at Bly, a remote country estate in England, to take up a position as governess to 2 orphan children, Flora and Miles. Upon her arrival, she immediately senses that there is something peculiar about the house and its inhabitants. The housekeeper, Mrs. Groves, reveals that the previous governess had resigned suddenly, and the family solicitor, Mr. Rogers, had advised them not to replace her until after the children's uncle, Henry Danvers, returned from his travels. Despite these ominous warnings, the new governess, driven by her own personal ambitions and desires, decides to proceed with the job anyway. As she settles into her new home, she begins to experience strange occurrences that make the hairs on the back of her neck stand up. Furthermore, the governess cannot shake the feeling that she is being watched, even though she is never able to catch sight of anyone other than Mrs. Groves, who seems genuinely concerned for her well-being. All of these unsettling events serve to heighten the atmosphere of mystery and suspense, making it clear that Bly is no ordinary country estate. It's a place where secrets linger and the boundaries between the living and the dead are blurred. As the governess delves deeper into her role and the history of Bly, she soon realizes that she has stumbled upon something truly sinister. Number 4. Unsettling Encounters. As the governess takes on her duties, she starts to notice peculiar things about the children. For instance, she observes that Miles, the younger sibling, is unnaturally pale and seems to have an unhealthy fascination with death. This becomes evident when the governess discovers him alone in the garden, staring at a dead bird with disturbing intensity. Meanwhile, Flora, the older child, appears distant and secretive, often retreating to her room and refusing to speak to her governess. These encounters leave the governess feeling uneasy and confused, wondering if the children are simply acting out or if there is something more sinister at play. However, her concerns are soon put to rest when she has a chance encounter with Miss Jessel, the former governess whose position she now occupies. The apparition appears to the governess while she is walking through the grounds and seems genuinely friendly, even inviting her to tea the following day. Though the governess accepts the invitation, she soon realizes that something is amiss, as no one else seems to know who Miss Jessel is, and she herself cannot recall any details about the previous governess. As the governess grapples with these unsettling experiences, she also begins to notice peculiar objects around the estate, such as a small boat that she finds in the lake and an old woman, a shawl that she discovers in the attic. These items seem to have no clear connection to the current residents of Bly, but the governess cannot help but feel that they are somehow connected to the strange happenings at the house. With each passing day, the line between reality and fantasy becomes increasingly blurred, leaving the governess unsure of what to believe. Is she truly interacting with ghosts, or are these encounters merely figments of her imagination? No. 3. The Ghosts of Bly. The true horror of the situation becomes apparent when the governess discovers a portrait of Miss Jessel and learns about the history of the estate. From Mrs. Groves, it turns out that Miss Jessel had been engaged to the uncle, Henry Danvers, but had broken off the engagement abruptly. Soon after, she fell ill and died suddenly, leading to speculation that she had been murdered. The governess also learns of another former employee, Peter Quint, who had been fired by Mr. Danvers for improper conduct with the children. Quint, consumed with jealousy and resentment, swore revenge before leaving Bly forever. With this new information in mind, the governess confronts the children about their activities, only to be met with their innocent denials. However, she remains convinced that they are hiding something and continues to investigate. One night, the governess is awoken in her room by the sound of laughter and singing. When she investigates, she finds the source to be a locked room in the house. As she stands outside the door, she hears Peter Quint's voice and becomes convinced that he is haunting Bly. Terrified but determined to uncover the truth, the governess continues her investigation and soon discovers a small boat hidden in the lake. Upon closer inspection, she realizes that it matches a description of a boat that Peter Quint used to take the children on rides in the lake. As the governess pieces together the clues, she becomes more convinced that the ghosts of Miss Jessel and Peter Quint are not only real, but that they are somehow connected to the children. Now, truly horrified by the possibility that her young charges are in danger, the governess races against time to protect them from the evil spirits that lurk at every turn. Now, to a dangerous obsession. As the governess delves deeper into her investigation, she becomes increasingly obsessed with uncovering the truth behind the haunting. This obsession consumes her thoughts, and she begins to neglect her duties, spending long hours alone in her room poring over old documents and speaking to the servants. Her behavior becomes erratic, and she begins to see ghosts everywhere, even in the shadows cast by the furniture. This descent into madness is further fueled by her interactions with the children, who she believes are in danger. She becomes overprotective and controlling, taking extreme measures to keep them safe from the malevolent spirits that surround them. For instance, she forbids Flora from going to the drawing room where she believes Peter Quint's ghost lingers. And she constantly questions Miles about his activities, convinced that he is in danger. However, her obsession soon takes a dark turn when she begins to suspect that Miles is possessed by Peter Quint's ghost. This belief becomes all-consuming, and she becomes determined to rid the boy of the spirit once and for all. In a moment of desperation, she confronts Miles and accuses him of being possessed. She tries to exorcise him by forcing him to confess his sins, but this only drives the boy further into a catatonic state. As the governess's obsession grows, so does her paranoia. She becomes convinced that everyone at Bly is against her and that they are all part of a conspiracy to keep her from exposing the truth. She lashes out at the servants, accusing them of helping the ghosts, and becomes increasingly isolated. Number 1, a shocking revelation. In a chilling twist, the governess's worst fears are realized when she discovers that Miles has died in her arms. Overcome with grief and guilt, she collapses and is cared for by Mrs. Groves. When she recovers, she goes to see Mr. Danvers, who has returned from his travels. However, he is cold and dismissive, showing little concern for the welfare of the children or the haunting at Bly. This indifference only serves to strengthen the governess's resolve to expose the truth. She writes letters to her friend, explaining the haunting and begging for help. But her pleas go unanswered. As time passes, the governess becomes increasingly desperate and begins to lose her sanity. She sees ghosts everywhere and becomes convinced that she is in grave danger. In a final act of defiance, she confronts Mr. Danvers and accuses him of being responsible for the haunting. She claims that he has allowed the ghosts to possess the children and that he is deliberately keeping them at Bly to harm them. However, Mr. Danvers is unmoved by her accusations and dismisses her as a hysterical and overwrought governess. He fires her on the spot and she is forced to leave Bly immediately. As the governess departs, she is haunted by the specter of Miles and the knowledge that he is now trapped at Bly with his evil uncle. She never looks back, forever changed by her experience at the house. Which character in The Turn of the Screw was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.